we're so used to danger, you try to explain to a firefighter, please wear your mask. You know, you might not get cancer tomorrow, but you'll get it 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, but firefighter lives for the now. We've started a partnership with the American Academy of Dermatologists. We are up to our 6th skin cancer screening. It's free, by the way. Out of those 871 firefighters, 236 have either potential or suspected cancer. Firefighters, we train every day to literally pull out a firefighter if he gets trapped in a fire. Like, why aren't we training every day to prevent cancer?
Welcome to Responder Resilience, along with my co-host, Bonnie Rimley, LCSW EMT. I'm David Dashinger, and today we're going to dive into an urgent topic that impacts every firefighter, that's cancer prevention. Join us as we speak with FDNY Battalion Chief John Haseney about the crucial steps being taken to overcome implementation barriers within the fire service. And from the creation of the FDNY Contamination Reduction Workgroup to the importance of partnerships promoting skin cancer screenings, we'll explore how departments can actively reduce risks and protect our heroes. We invite you to like and subscribe, YouTube Responder Resilience, Facebook Responder TV, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go to our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information.
This episode is made possible by the First Responder Center for Excellence. Discover more at firstrespondercenter.org and connect with us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Our resource partner, Fight Camp, is offering an exclusive deal for viewers of Responder Resilience. For a limited time, you can get an amazing free package valued at $238, which includes punch trackers, quick wraps, and a free 45-day membership trial. Don't miss out. Email us at info@respondertv.com with the subject line Fight Camp to claim your free package today.
We'll be right back to speak with Chief Haseney after this.
In this family, more of us die by our own hands than by the hazards of the job.
In this family, up to a quarter of 911 telecommunicators have symptoms of post-traumatic stress.
In this family, our mental health and wellness are in crisis,
while responders are quietly suffering.
In this family, many struggle with job-related stress,
burnout,
moral injury,
sleep disruptions, substance abuse,
and relationship problems.
In this family, we can help the helpers
with vital information and resources,
resilient strategies,
and success stories of overcoming the obstacles.
In this family, no one is alone.
Welcome to Responder Resilience with co-hosts retired Lieutenant David Dashinger, Dr. Stacy Raymond, and Bonnie Rumley, LCSW EMTB.
Our guest today is Battalion Chief John Haseney, who's served the FDNY since 2005. Currently, he's assigned to Battalion 44. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Fire Science from John Jay College of Criminal Justice and a master's degree in Security Studies from the Naval Postgraduate School, the Center for Homeland Defense and Security. He served in the New York Army National Guard from 2004 to 2012, and he's an Afghanistan Operation Enduring Freedom combat veteran. He's also a founding and active member of the FDNY Contamination Reduction Workgroup, which began in 2017, and it was created to reduce the members' exposure to fireground contaminants that cause cancer-related deaths and disabilities. Chief, welcome to Responder Resilience.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Back at you.
It would be great if you could just start giving us a little background on your journey within the FDNY and kind of what inspired you to pursue the contamination reduction in the fire department.
What inspired me to start is when I was a measly little lieutenant. I'm sorry, Dave. When I was back in Queens in Engine 287, I met a chief. His name was Frank Lee. He was one of your guest speakers a few episodes ago. Is where he literally inspired me. He said, "Hey, do you want to take a master's degree program called the Naval Postgraduate Degree Program?" And a part of one of the things you have to do when you take a master's degree is you have to write a thesis. So he said, I admit I'm a very undecided person sometimes, and he's like, you should write about firefighter cancer. And I was like, hell yeah, anything that could help the brothers and sisters and prevent what I feel is a preventable thing from getting firefighter occupational cancer and unfortunately being injured or dying from it. So he inspired me, and I wrote on it. Also, additional inspiration was my mother also had breast cancer, so it definitely hit close to home. And then also with the while I was writing the thesis, it was also additional motivation. Is I had unfortunately some close firefighter friends actually die from occupational cancer. So going to their funerals and seeing them suffer through it was an unfortunate motivation to keep writing and keep doing.
So I imagine writing a thesis is a deep dive into a topic like this. What did you learn that you didn't know before? Like, what were some of the things, the takeaways that you thought were really notable?
The takeaways is, to me, was positive, was that we provide the membership with the tools, the resources, and encouragement, and the support of leadership that we can overcome, to me, again, which I think is at least reducing firefighter cancer rates. Like, if we're able to give them the resources, the inspiration, the education, that it is a disease that can be either reduced or overcome.
What are the main objectives of the work group? So you've mentioned a couple, but are there some other pieces of it that you think would be important for our listeners or viewers if they wanted to think about creating such a program at their own department?
Yes. Well, one of the end takes of the thesis was to create a work group. The FDNY was inspired in 2017 with the new research coming out, especially with the research that, I don't know if you're familiar with the study that, if you just have decon on scene, you take away 80% of decon, and if you use wipe, you take away 50%. But we weren't doing that in the FDNY, so we, that was definitely one influential study that said we need to look at what we're doing, what we have done, and change or things. So we looked at, first step that we did was we looked at our past initiatives that the FDNY, we actually, when we were starting to research, we're like, wow, the FDNY actually has done a lot already, where we already, some fire departments, even these days, they don't have the vehicle exhaust capture system. We had that since the 80s. So we already have 2 sets of gear. We already have an in-house laundering service. We already have our gear cleaned twice a year and stuff like that. So it was finding things that we are missing. So we, in regards to the research, we said, all right, we are seeing that the wipes are effective. Let's get wipes for the units. So we got wipes for the units. So now at every fire, there are wipes that are available on the fire trucks, or what we have is what we call them rack units, recuperation units. They have wipes. So now wipes are available for the membership and stuff like that. We obviously had to update our books, our manuals, to reflect these new things that we found in studies, and write, rehabilitation bulletin where to address these new procedures. And we initiated, hey, you should start cleaning your cab. We put that in the bulletin because the research says that you should clean your cab and stuff like that. So what was your question again?
No, you answered it. I'm actually going to go off.
I could keep going, We love
it. We love listening. I'm sitting here thinking about what you're saying, and it made me wonder to ask you, how much do you think 9/11 and post 9/11 world has influenced a lot of the cancer awareness and the exposure to toxins?
In an unfortunate way, yes, 9/11 has humongously influenced definitely the FDNY, where literally, I worked yesterday, there was unfortunately, every time a FDNY firefighter dies, they announce it on the radio and stuff like that. There was a firefighter that died. So it wasn't just, we try to reinforce with the members is that it wasn't just the members that died on 9/11. The famous number 343 firefighters died. Now, with the contamination that these members took in heroically at Ground Zero, trying to find the brothers and the sisters and the civilians, that they contracted all occupational cancer while there. And that number is far above 343 more members that have died just from occupational cancer, not on 9/11. That's just 9/11 related, where we also try to reinforce with members that not to focus also just on the 9/11 members, because you are at risk. Even if you weren't at 9/11,
Sure.
you could still get occupational cancer. And you try, again, I would have to look up the numbers too again, but we're still losing members not from 9/11 cancer,
It seems like it was such a driving factor in this topic being opened up as wide as it has been in the last, 10 to 15 years, like you said. So thanks for answering that.
No, you're welcome.
As firefighters and first responders, we're brilliant at the basics. We master the art of stretching the line, and we excel at being there for those who need us most. Yet even the best of us can be caught off guard. We sometimes face unexpected challenges like injury, cancer, or post-traumatic stress symptoms. But you're not alone. The First Responder Center for Excellence is here to equip you with the tools and resources you need to stay informed and prepared. We help you focus on staying strong, safe, fit, and resilient. Optimize your performance with cutting-edge health, wellness, and science information, from fitness to nutrition, medical evaluations to behavioral health, cancer awareness to cardiac health. We've got you covered. Remember, we're stronger together. Discover more at firstrespondercenter.org and connect with us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. The First Responder Center for Excellence. Equip yourself with excellence for every call.
So, Chief, you've been involved with some pretty cool initiatives for cancer screening, and we'll get into that shortly. But with all that said, have there been any challenging moments related to firefighter health or sort of navigating as a leader? Maybe somebody, some of your members who have dealt with cancer, or just seeing what they're going through. Like, what are the challenging aspects of being a leader in the FDNY in terms of cancer?
Shaking the member and asking them please to listen kind of thing, where as Dave, and I'm sure Bonnie, even on the EMS side, there is a culture that you have to fight. And it's where, we're so used to just running into burning buildings and, living the dangerous edge all the time that, we're so used to danger. You try to explain to a firefighter that please wear your mask, like, please, you might not get cancer tomorrow, but you'll get it 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. But a firefighter lives for the now, or humans live for the now. Mm-hmm. And, you try, that's the challenging aspect of fighting the culture. And, if you want to go into, I'm sure you heard, the badge of honor with dirty bunker gear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's where you try to, like, please clean your gear, please go take a shower, but firefighters are firefighters. They want to, get back on the rig and go fight another fire. But it's like, can you take a minute to take a shower, to change out your gear? But it's, you are fighting the culture, that's what I feel.
So being a therapist, I always want to go for the feelings aspect of all of this. You mentioned your mom having cancer. I'm wondering how that impacted your view on all of these things. And did you find yourself making personal changes in your daily habits as a firefighter because of that?
Yeah. I admit I'm 100% not perfect. I'll admit I catch myself not, especially as a chief officer. I should be leading by example, but I admit I catch myself sometimes. I'm not wearing my mask when I should, because as a chief officer, you're supposed to be really using your mouth and yelling the mic and stuff like that. But definitely, I force myself to try to wear my mask more. I force myself to change whenever I do have a fire. I try to change out my gear because, again, we are lucky in the FDNY. We have 2 sets of gear. Right. So it's more just the effort of the FDNY firefighter to literally just change their gear, is, moving their tools from one pocket to another, I try to encourage members to wear their mask, definitely as a leader. I remember, again, I'm a battalion chief now, but when I was a captain in a engine company in the Bronx, I made my members, I'm like, no one take your mask off. you know, as a captain, you definitely have a lot more influence because it is, at least in the FDNY, it's your company, and you set policy for that company. So whenever you're working with me, you're wearing your mask throughout the fire. Like, put it back on. You know, even if the truck company has it off, put it back on. Or even, I admit, when I had a little time, I would start saying to the truck company, I'm like, put your mask back on. And I admit, one firefighter, it was very inspirational for me and hopefully for him. He's like, you're effing right. And he's like, he put his mask back on. You know, he's like, why am I doing this? So
right, the air is free, as we say, right?
Yeah. Well, again, to me, the saying was, if you have air in your cylinder, keep it on. You know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think we've come a long way in terms of doing overhaul, where we used to take off the mask and, you know, go in there and jump in and start pulling walls and ceilings and, you know, cooling stuff down. But now with better metering, and especially with different culture, we're starting to wear a mask throughout that process as well, because there's a lot of bad stuff off gassing.
That's the worst time of a fire is actually the overhauling part, because that's when it's really off gassing, you know, and it's sticking in the air. That's when you want to wear your mask for the most part, you know.
Right. And just as a side question, has the culture of air management changed now with all this? Because, you know, if we're wearing our masks more, obviously we need to kind of get the most out of an air bottle as we can. Has anything shifted in terms of how we're managing air on the fire ground?
Yes, where at least the FDNY wise is we are trying to be more self-conscious, and at least a program that's been going on with the FDNY is when you transmit a fire, we call it, you transmit the all hands, is saying that you have a working fire, is that you will get an extra engine and truck automatically. And those engine or truck are supposed to be used for relief companies to relieve those companies inside that are usually the first two companies, so that are going you're going to run out of air because you've been in there, you fought the fire, you really sucked through your bottle. So it's a less to force them not to take off their mask because they ran out of air. And it is, you have a company ready to go that is fresh bottles that could go right in and relieve that company right on scene, waiting, literally standing next to you.
Okay.
So it's definitely more, it is more, I feel like chiefs are also more aware of when the vibra alert goes off. We have vibra alerts on our mask, and you can hear it when a officer transmits or a firefighter transmit. And chiefs these days have definitely, you're relieved. If you hear air cylinder going, you know, a vibra alert going off, chiefs are automatically relieving them.
Right.
Like, you're done.
That's good to hear. What are some of the support systems around the diagnosis of cancer that are currently existing? What can people access, you know, just behaviorally, emotionally, for their family?
At least, again, I'm not, I will say, Bonnie, I'm not too much of an expert on that. But at least the FDNY, Kane will be able to speak to this more, is where we do have a counseling support unit that is full-time, that every officer knows the number that you could call, that usually we'll also have we're lucky enough to have a full-time medical office. So you will be talking to a doctor. Usually they're very good doctors too. They deal with firefighters and firefighter cancer all the time. And I'm sure they will refer you to, you know, the appropriate doctor and the appropriate counseling unit service. Never mind, not even the non-official, where, you know, the culture of the fire department, they'll also support you throughout it. The brothers and the sisters, where
the union, peer support,
the union, peer support. You know, literally, we're dropping off meals. We have the FDNY is also lucky enough, but we have it's called the transport service, is where the memberships actually do fundraisers all the time, and they buy vans that are used to transport members and families to doctor's appointments so if a member is going through chemo, or they will have someone dedicated to them with a van that will drive them to chemo appointments, to, you know, radiation appointments and stuff like that. So the support is, you know, the firehouses are there, the department is there.
That's incredible to hear, really, that they would dedicate that for people. So I think you have a lot of supports in place, and we've spoken to your behavioral unit. I mean, what the work that is done in your department, especially, I think is a model for other agencies, and they look up to you all because of the proactive nature of the work. So it's really impressive.
Thank you. To the other way too, when I've been involved with this, I know everyone looks up to the FDNY, but please pass it on. We look down, well, not down to them. We look up to them too. Is where I've asked a fellow firefighter in another department, hey, do you have a procedure on this? Do you have this? Because why reinvent the wheel twice? So there many initiatives I've seen where I've been inspired by that. Hey, why aren't we doing that here? Why don't we have this on our rake? So we very much look up to other departments as well.
No, and that's well said. It's one big giant circle. Right. We're all helping others and receiving the help. So as long as you're open to it, and I mean, it's an incredible thing.
Fight Camp. Hey, first responders. If you're looking to elevate your fitness journey, listen closely. Fight Camp is rolling out a fantastic offer just for you. An absolutely free package that includes punch trackers, quick wraps, and a 45-day membership trial, valued at $238. Discover a new way to work out. It's a way to track your progress in real time with advanced technology. With access to over 3,000 on-demand workouts tailored for all fitness levels, you'll never run out of options. And if you're looking to share the journey, their family-friendly subscriptions make that easy. Join the 35% of Fight Camp members who are military, veterans, and first responders. To get your free package, email us at info@respondertv.com with the subject line, Fight Camp.
So, Chief, I want to kind of move to that proactive piece, and that's you've had some initiatives to screen for stuff like skin cancer. Can you talk a little bit about that? How does that work? The logistics, the buy-in, all that good stuff? Oh,
yeah. Well, I'll start with the original story, if you want to say. So, again, it was around 2023. Frank Lee introduced me to Russ Osgood. He's a chief in Maine, and he is one of the main firefighter cancer support network members. And he said to me and said, "Hey, is the FDNY interested in doing free skin cancer screenings?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll take that over." So then, ever since then, we've started a partnership with the American Academy of Dermatologists, where we are up to our 6th skin cancer screening. It's free, by the way. Where with our partnership with the Academy, they literally have proposed to their membership that firefighters are gravely at risk, and we have a 21% greater risk of getting skin cancer. So they said we're a at-risk population, and they're literally getting their members, which is, again, amazing, to volunteer their time to give us free skin cancer screenings. So literally this Saturday is going to be our 6th free cancer screening in Staten Island at a firehouse. And they literally, the dermatologists, they come, volunteer their time, and we put out signups about a month before. We notify our membership through what we call buck slips. They're internal notices to the departments. We have the unions. Thank God for the unions. The unions email all the membership. We have we have a firefighter union, an officer union. They email the membership. We put up on video displays, and we've had an amazing response. So far, over 5 screenings. Cheating again. Sorry. We've had 871 firefighters come. It's one of the top screenings out there. But the shocking aspect, which is every time I email the unions and the leadership, is that out of those 871 firefighters, 236 have either potential or suspected cancers. So that's 27%. So to me, 27% of people screened have either potential or suspected cancer by the dermatologist. They don't do any cutting stuff off, or they don't do biopsies. Right. They don't do it there, but they say, "Hey, you need to go get that checked," by a dermatologist in their office and have a biopsy. But it's a great initiative, and I recommend if a department wants to do it, literally either contact your local fire cancer support network and say, hey, I want to get a free skin cancer screening, or contact the American Academy of Dermatologists and say, hey, I want a free skin cancer, and they'll try to set it up for you. It's one of the top initiatives I feel like we're doing right now.
What kind of feedback are you getting in terms of buy-in and, you know, people that are...
We're booked out for Saturday. You know, we send it a month in advance. I feel like this one, it was filled within a couple of days.
Wow.
So it's, I feel like, unfortunately, the limiting factor is the dermatologist, is where we have tons of firefighters that want to do it. But again, they are volunteering their time, and it's like you know, if we could have 10 dermatologists, that'd be amazing. But but they are volunteering their time, so you know.
Well, we're talking about skin cancer. Can you elaborate on some of the other common cancers that would be associated with the job that you're looking at, or that people are talking about in these initiatives?
Again, throat. Mike Champo is a big name on the FDNY, where, you know, he had head and neck and cancer. So we've had a couple of videos of him speaking about, you know, what he went through and stuff like that. So when you have that, again, I consider Mike a leader in the department, you know, where that's big. And I hope skin cancer has become a big thing too, especially with all the guys coming. But you see all kinds of colon cancer. Like, I'm just trying to think of the firefighters I know that have died. One of my, if you want to go back to the inspirations for, as I told you, some of my close buddies died of brain cancer. You know, again, colorectal, testicular cancer is big too on the on the fire department and stuff like that. Those are definitely, unfortunately, too many types of cancers, you know?
Right. It's like, it speaks to the fact that, unfortunately, like, there's not one size fits all in terms of screening, right? There's like, some of these require much more elaborate physicals, or say blood draws, or different kinds of scans. So there's so many cancers. They're all different. They all have different prognoses and treatments and screening procedures. So that kind of complicates it.
Yeah, but we try to reinforce the membership. If you notice a change in your demeanor, you know, your health, go get checked, because you know, especially, I think I forgot what the 3 weeks. If you have the same thing for 3 weeks or something like that, that's bothering you, go get checked.
Yeah. We ran a PSA about that with Jason Patton a while back. That I think it was filmed at The Rock, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. Like, you get involved in so many things. You're trying to remember the.
It's interesting because two things come to mind for me when we're talking about this. One is, you're talking about people who generally are very stoic, and, you know, they feel strong, and they feel maybe they don't want to be going to doctors. So there's that sort of stigma that we're fighting. Right?
Welcome to the culture again.
Exactly. And
I'm a strong firefighter. Why do I need to go to a doctor? Yes.
Exactly. So you're kind of fighting that. But then, second of all, I'm sure there's partly, well, okay, what am I going to do with that? Then I have to face that. And a lot of the first responders I see in my office, you know, they're going through their days. They're so busy. They're working so many hours. I feel like these types of things sometimes go down the list because it's not happening in this moment right in front of their face.
Well, at least to speak to that, like, at least with, again, I'm back to the skin cancer screening, is where the great, again, thank God for the FDNY leadership. So let's say we are having this, just an example for the one on Saturday, we are having this screening on Staten Island. The FDNY leadership has said, hey, if you're working, we will allow the units that are actually working to come to this screening. They'll come in dribs and drabs, but they'll say, hey, if a Staten Island fire company wants to come, again, if you're working, you could go get a free skin cancer screening, you know? And we actually, I think we average around 9 companies per screening that actually come down while they're working just to get screened.
That's great.
And stuff like that.
Well, and the other take home, it seems obvious, but as a woman, you know, they tell us how to look for breast cancer and how to look for changes, and we're supposed to be checking ourselves monthly. But I think responders are so good at being vigilant about everybody else, but not themselves. So it seems like the one obvious thing smacking me here is you have to be vigilant about your own body. If there's something that's off or different, like you said, if it's been going on 3 weeks, get it checked. But I think that this population is so good at everybody else, and there's a lot of work that needs to get done internally. So to me, that's a take home, is watch your body.
Right. Yeah. We want a quick fix, right? So even if we go to a skin cancer screening and they say, hey, you need to follow up on this with another appointment, and sometimes this whole cancer diagnosis process takes multiple appointments, and then if you need to get treatment, then you're talking weeks or months of treatment. So first responders, we want stuff done fast, right? We want quick results, and that's kind of like the opposite, right? We'd have to go down a long process that could possibly take us off the line for a while. So it's hard to get enthusiastic about something that could be so difficult on our way of life.
It is about educating them, though, to make them aware that, hey, the 3 weeks, hey, at least when or at the skin cancer training, we try to give them a little education, like, hey, this is what you should be looking for in changes in size and color and shape, like given the education aspect as well, And then I always like to reinforce too, where unfortunately a lot of occupational cancers happen after you retire. Yeah. So trying to, even after you retire, please keep getting checked, or even doing the aspect of, hey, maybe you should start wearing your mask so you could have a 20-year retirement, a 30-year retirement. Unfortunately, you see guys and gals die 2 years after they get off the fire department, with cancer. And it's like, was that worth it,
Right.
Our greatest asset is a thinking, knowledgeable, well-trained, physically fit, and healthy firefighter. It is the continual drive to be better, to improve, and to never be satisfied with the status quo. Success begins long before the alarm comes in or the tones go off. Success is nothing new in the FDNY. We did not suddenly wake up one day and become good at what we do. We need enthusiastic leadership and training that has a clear understanding of what's at stake. That is teamwork, that is dedication, that is well-trained firefighters ready to go to work on game day. The time to train is now, before the incident or game day.
We've all seen the leader who's tactically proficient but lacks the people skills for true inspirational leadership. Cornerstones of Leadership, on and off the fireground, discusses the soft skills necessary for success, both on and off the fireground.
Introducing FD Teas, the only gourmet tea crafted with first responders and their families in mind. Proudly firefighter and veteran-owned, our collection of gourmet organic teas is uniquely designed to honor those who are on the front lines to protect our communities. At FD Teas, we believe in quality. That's why we source the freshest organic tea available, offering you the most popular flavors that not only excite your taste buds, but also bring comfort and relaxation to your daily life. Indulge in our specialty blends: classic Earl Grey, soothing chamomile, vibrant green tea with ginger root, decadent chocolate salty caramel black tea, and robust Irish breakfast. FD Teas makes for a special and unique gift, perfect for any occasion or season. Taste the difference and show your appreciation for the rescuers in your life with FD Teas. Available on fdteas.com and in our Etsy store, Fire Department Prints. Also available on walmart.com as Fire Department Prints.
Are there any ways in which the department is looking at specific sexes, and in terms of like female or male, and what might be unique to one
At least
population?
I am the head FDNY liaison of where the FDNY is a member of. There's a sub-study called the Women's Firefighter Study of the Firefighter Cancer Cohort Study, right? For FFCCS. I mean, too many acronyms. That the FDNY is a membership of. So we have about 100 women of the 1,000 that are currently involved in the study. That this study is testing new probationary, we call probationary firefighters, new firefighters, and their exposures over 18 to 24 month cycle to see what changes they have in like their biomarkers that for cancer and stuff like that, for their stress levels, how is stress influencing them, and also how is the being with the stress and the exposure influencing their reproductive. And at least that's what one of the definite initiatives the FDNY is involved with right now.
So, John, if you could wave a magic wand tomorrow and firefighter cancer in general across the entire fire service would be in a better place, what would that look like?
Perfect world is, again, everyone following their best practices that are known. That's what my thesis was about. We know these best practices, like what's stopping us? So it's every firefighter literally wearing their mask, coming out and getting decontaminated, keeping the cab clean, changing out their gear, like getting it washed, taking the shower before they clean the tools in the fire truck, before they go back in service, taking the shower, keeping a clean firehouse, not wearing your bunker gear in the firehouse, keeping the different zones in the firehouse, you don't bring your bunker gear where we eat in the kitchen or in the TV room and stuff like that. You keep it, you don't put, we didn't even talk about, you don't put your gear in the trunk of your car. Because that's right next to your kid's baseball mitt, you're going to affect your kids. That's, wow, perfect world. I wish,
Yeah.
Which is something that affects a lot of volunteer firefighters, right? They carry their gear with them, and they gotta, they gotta show up on scene or at the firehouse with the gear. So how do you do that? Not expose your kids to the contaminant.
Put it in a black bag at least. Put it in a bag that at least a plastic bag that isolates it, and put it in a container that at least isolates it from your kid's gear. Something. Have it clean. Have it as long as it's clean. Is it clean and in a plastic bag? Now you doubled. Your safety kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and some departments have special classified biohazard units downstairs, like washers and dryers, especially.
Extractors. They're called extractors.
Yeah.
And yes, where the FDNY, we have in-house unit that is able to, we are unfortunately not lucky enough to have them in every firehouse due to, I think, the FDNY infrastructure is quite old. I think the average age of a firehouse in the FDNY is like 90 years. So the 90-year-old electric and plumbing is not good for an extractor or a heavy duty dryer. So So if you could have an extractor and a dryer in every firehouse, again, that's the perfect world for me.
Right. Yeah. And we're starting to see mobile decon units. Some departments are actually outfitting trucks where they can go to the incident and change out the gear, get people cleaned up and into new gear right on scene so they can clear and go to the...
Yeah, I've been, speaking of, there was one of those phone calls I've done lately to figure out what companies... I called my friend in Florida. He's involved in a department down there that's doing that. And I just picked his brain on what he's doing and stuff like that. And he might have won me over with that, where I might start proposing that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the take home is we have all of this knowledge now, research, information. It's time to be preventative. So vigilant, yes, but preventative and proactive is, I think, the way of the future from everything you've said today.
Yeah, if we could be proactive, instead of reactive, but unfortunately, culture of the fire department is reactive, not proactive, so you try to get ahead of the game before,
Well, and that's what we're trying to do with mental health too. So we're all fighting sort of the same old school stigmas to do all of our initiatives, but we're getting there. We're making headway. And
it's definitely,
great.
Even since we started in 2017, you definitely, being not the outsider, but looking from the outside, is you can see the culture of the FDNY has shifted, where we equated the FDNY, because we're so large, to you're turning an aircraft carrier. You're not going to turn an aircraft carrier on a dime. So it's a slow turn, but it's turning.
Where can people find you out there, like social media, LinkedIn, anything like that?
I am on LinkedIn. I don't check it every while. I check it every once in a while just to see. I'm not on it every day. I'm on LinkedIn. Again, I don't know if you guys are going to put my email. Please feel free to email me, or I'll gladly send you my thesis and stuff like that if you want to read it all about. It's 150 pages, but you can just read the executive summary if you want. read the conclusions, the recommendations. But that's where you can find me.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great thesis. You sent it to me back when we first made contact, so appreciate that.
Did you read it, or you actually did the executive summary?
No, I had to go to the executive summary. I'm like eyes glaze over when I look at that much data, but the takeaways are important, and you're doing super important work. You're sort of setting the tone for for generations, the new generations of firefighters to have a healthier, happier, more successful, not only career, but also retirement. So thank you for all that work that you're doing.
No, not at all. It's just, I hopefully could educate firefighters, trying to educate firefighters to at least make them aware and, that they are capable of doing it, to try to win over the leadership, to have their back and lead by example and stuff like that. And then once again, from the conclusion, please start a work group. If you don't have a work group already that's specifically, focused on preventing cancer and also mental health. Mental health is huge, another aspect of have a work group that is literally just focused on that you'll be able to change your department, I was just saying my final word, if you want to say, is that I don't know if Dave read it at the end, is like firefighters, we train every day to literally pull out a firefighter if he gets trapped in a fire. Like, why aren't we training every day to prevent cancer? You could literally do something simple as tell your brother or sister right next to you, keep your mask on. And you might even make them think twice, like, oh crap, yeah, you're right, I should, So.
And I want to thank you on behalf of the three of us on Responder Resilience, just for your leadership qualities and for everything you're doing for everyone in your own department and around you. It's admirable, the work that you've put into this topic.
No, I always say no thank you is needed. It is me about saving the brothers and the sisters. Like I always say, if I save one person, it's worth it all.
Absolutely.
Understood.
All right. Thank you. Great speaking with you today. Thanks for sharing your time. Remember to like and subscribe YouTube, Responder Resilience, Facebook, Responder TV, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and go to our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information. Till the next time, stay safe, be kind to yourself, take care.